met you in the half-light, where the signals hum and fade, words hanging like laundry on a wire we never made. Your eyes were doing circles, like a compass without north. I was counting all the seconds, I've been walking back and forth. The clock was missing numbers, the street forgot its name. Every thought I carried felt borrowed, bent and strange. You spoke in quiet riddles, like rain against the glass. I felt something loosen that I didn't know I had. So tune your heart a little closer to mine. Let the static fall behind. We don't need a perfect line, just a frequency that holds through time. I've been trading paper promises at corners of the day, watching shadows sell their stories, then quietly walk away. But you stood like a question that refused to disappear, like a song I didn't know, but somehow always here. Your laugh moves slow and sideways, like smoke across the room. I followed it instinctively, like moths follow the moon. Every step between us shortened, though we didn't move it all, like gravity remembered why it had to fall. So tune your heart a little closer to mine. Let the static fall behind. We don't need a perfect sign, just a signal that survives the night. If love's a map with half the roads erased, we'll read it by the scars we trace. No fireworks, no closing door, just echoes learning what they're for. Now the world keeps spinning stories it insists are true, but I hear a softer rhythm every time I look at you, like something ancient waking underneath the noise, a quiet stubborn harmony that never begs for a choice. So tune your heart a little closer to mine. Let the static fall behind, in the spaces between.
Here we go. you know, Thank you very much for suggesting that because this keeps happening. I press the unmute button, and for whatever reason, it maintains that it's muted. At least it was not muted on Substack. See, one of the perks that people get on Substack. So I did the our land acknowledgement. We'll do that. You're going to see it again next time, anyways. And hopefully, you're all starting to learn it by now because I think this is something we're going to bring it to Parliament. That's right. We're going to get it on a bill to the floor of the House of Parliament in Canada that we would like to gently acknowledge that we're standing on the traditional territory of whoever, and whoever is key. Whoever was here savagely killing and genociding each other at the time, and they aren't in charge anymore. So leave us the hell alone. I want that to be on the books in the Canadian Parliament, and I think you do too. I can imagine many of you want that as well. So here we are. Wow, the world has changed in 24 hours since we were together, sipping our coffee, just watching the world go by calmly, chilling on the porch, not letting things get to us, and then boom, things erupt all over the Middle East. And I want to ask you a very quick question. In 2027, what country do you think you're going to want to choose as an exotic vacation? Is it going to be Venezuela? Is it going to be Iran? Maybe it's going to be Cuba. It's, the list of possibilities gets greater and greater with every week that goes by with the Trump administration. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, it's pretty wild what's been going on. And I think we all have seen just lightning rate of change that we never could have imagined. And you may remember back when the dementia Sleepy Joe administration was in power, the things that we are experiencing right now couldn't have even been imagined. If somebody had said to you 18 months ago that we would be where we're at today, you would think they're crazy. That's how quick things are moving. So things don't just move quickly in the AI space. And by the way, if I seem tired, I have been up since 4 a.m. Working on stuff and went to sleep rather late. And today's going to be a very long day as well. So I do apologize if I don't seem like I am my normal self. But anyways, I want to welcome all of you who are not from Canada. Canada, this is the land of the ISIS fighter with a visa. That's what Canada is becoming. So yeah, we like cultural diversity here, especially in the form of somebody who carries an AK-47. So a couple of things to review. I don't know if any of you saw I posted earlier today, I think I posted it yesterday as well, the excerpt, or at least a timestamp link to Tucker Carlson's father and his comments about Iran, which would resonate and align perfectly with what the Trump administration has just achieved in the past 24 hours. Does somebody, I actually just posted it again. It's on Twitter. I'm going to post it onto the Substack shortly as soon as we're done here. But, perhaps some of you would want to share that with Tucker and just let him know, as I did in the post, Daddy would not be pleased with you, right? You and your brother would probably beat the hell out of them. Anyways, it's very, very funny what's going on today. We're going to talk more about that. Hold on, let me just get my screen up here as well. So let's start with over on Bluesky. Those of you who don't know, Bluesky is the Soviet Twitter, I like to call it. That's why it's Bluesky. And so the Iranian war, was trending yesterday. Guess what's not trending now? Because even the people on the collectivist, philosophically blind echo chamber on the radical left, even they are forced to acknowledge that this was such a significant achievement by the Trump administration. They can only imagine something. We've all dreamed of this. I mean, look, I was 3 years old when the Ayatollahs essentially invaded Persia and took over Iran and enslaved their people. You know, my entire life. Even Trump, and he was talking about Cuba as well. That was from he was a little boy. So these are just such momentous shifts in how the world is functioning right now that I feel gratitude to be alive and to witness this. So, anyways, it seems to have gotten to some of the people on Bluesky. So, and Bluesky, by the way, is no longer run by Jack Dorsey. He founded Bluesky and Twitter at the same time, I think in 2008, 2019, and he has stepped away as of 2024. I wonder what took so long. So the CEO right now is Jay Graber. She's the current CEO, and I don't know. I think might be good to, if you join Bluesky and you want to see the comic relief that's going on there, maybe send her a little post once in a while. Say, hey, what do you think about the free people of Iran now, right? But it's amazing how quickly they removed free Iran, Iran protests, and all those related trending hashtags are just gone. And then what's been replaced? Well, Luke Skywalker is trying to smear and something Trumpstein. He's trying to make that trend. That's a reference to Trump and Epstein, because you know what they say is, Trump was mentioned 1,500 or whatever many times in the Epstein files, but they forget to. This is how they lie to their own people. You get brainwashed by your own side. What they fail to mention is it was Jeffrey Epstein mainly obsessing over how much he hates Trump. They omit that little very important piece of context. And we talked yesterday about Aaron Rupar and that phenomenon. But really, Bluesky is comic relief. And, it's amazing. I've engaged with some people on there and some people who are, you'd say, on the left. And, if you're good at it, you can find a way to frame things in common cause that's acceptable to their framing of the world, and slowly those people, they start to open up. Incrementalism is your friend when you're trying to reach people, and also ensure that you're doing everything from a positive frame. So this is slightly related to yesterday's events, which we are going to talk about. Javier Milei, the El Presidente de Argentina, he had released a statement, or at least his office had released a statement, and translating into English, I can bore you with Spanish, is the office of the president commends the joint operation carried out today by the United States and Israel that resulted in the elimination of Ali Khamenei. It's the same word, and they think they're pronouncing it differently. The two different people. Anyways, the supreme leader of the Iranian Republic of Iran. I don't even like that. They're just kind of enslaving their people, but whatever. One of the most evil, violent, and cruel individuals in the history of humankind. And that is important. I talk a lot. Yesterday I was in a space talking about the importance of Latin America and its relevance to the United States and Canada and the Western Hemisphere broadly, especially with the current administration's perspectives on where we're going to move forward in the world. And Argentina particularly understands this issue due to the AMIA bombings in Buenos Aires, which were in 92, was it? I think it was. I can't remember. When was Alberto murdered? He was murdered in 96 or something like that. Anyways, I had mentioned this documentary on Netflix. I forgot the name, but it is The Prosecutor, the President, and the Spy. The story of Alberto Nisman, who was the prosecutor in charge of prosecuting the parties involved in the EMEA bombing. And the president at that time, Kirchner, I know you're going to be shocked, far left extremist who was aligned with the Iranian regime. Wow, shocking. Alberto ended up murdered in the middle of those proceedings, which was very significant. So I highly recommend checking out that documentary because it gives you some insight into how Iran operates outside of their country. So we always hear, the ambiguous terrorist organization, the ambiguous Iranian proxy or whatever. But it's very difficult for people if you haven't dug deep into it or been involved in looking into these matters. It's very difficult to conceptualize precisely how they function, and that documentary will give you some good insight into how the Iranians operate in the Western world. So check that out. Jess, good morning, Jess. She says, "I love Milei. Yo también, me encanta el presidente. Viva la, what does he like to say? Viva la libertad, carajo. Carajo just means damn it, by the way. It's not all that bad of a word. And don't have to apologize for being late. And good morning, Maureen. And is it Brian Matheson? Anyways, I appreciate you for joining, and all of you for sending messages to me, DMs. If you have ideas, things you want us to talk about, let me know. Part of what we're building with the Discord is we're going to have something that's a little bit more interactive for people who join. You'll be able to kind of participate with us and do kind of online panels, that sort of thing. But that's going to take a little bit of time. But I am working on it, and me and Tao just have to connect on that sometime soon. But I got to find 5 minutes where I'm in Canada and not running around and preparing for something else. Wasn't an Iranian a writer involved in production of Tehran's recently assassination? I don't understand. Pamela, if you want to rephrase that. It's really small text on my screen, so when it becomes double 2 lines, then it becomes hard to type, hard to read. But I don't know. Where's there a writer involved in the production? Are you mean the invasion of Iran? Possibly. I don't know specifically, but maybe that's something for the Iranians who are well into this thing. And one of the reasons I mentioned this yesterday that I'm so involved. People are like, "Oh, you're Jewish, you care." It's not that. I told this story in a space yesterday. In 2014, I was at there was a protest at Queen's Park, which is our provincial parliament in the province of Ontario, or for the Americans, you call your state legislature. And Tehran is a program on Apple. Maybe I'll check it out. I don't know. So, anyways, I was at this protest many years ago. Many years. It was 2014, and somebody attended, and the speaker was Robert Spencer from Jihad Watch, which was the website that I had recommended that you watch. And I met Robert a few times. Many of us did. He would come up and speak at smaller events, more private events for obvious reasons. And, got to know him a little bit. I since have introduced him to people, try to get him interviews, as many other people we all try to help each other, sort of thing. Those of us who are kind of individual operators who don't operate under, any political cartel or on behalf of any political party. And at this particular protest, there was somebody came up to the crowd at the back where I was, and he was holding a piece of paper, and it said, "I am against the murderous Iranian regime," something to that effect. "I support Israel's rights to defend itself. I am a Muslim from Iran and a victim of the Iranian regime," something to that effect. I can't remember exactly what it was. And I thought, like, oh, hey, okay, what's going on here? And we ended up talking to each other. And we became friends over a period of time. He explained, his trajectory, and that he was arrested in Iran along with other student protesters on campus and was tortured while he was incarcerated and managed to escape. So shout out to Sia, Salman, and Seema, and Babark, and the rest of you. And he explained his evolution to, when he came here to escape, he understood that everything that he was taught growing up, that was nonsense. He was brainwashed. and he realized, where the reigns of freedom are, and they're amongst the West and Western countries and countries like Israel and all that sort of stuff. So, anyways, at that time I was pretty involved politically. I think it was just after I ran or before I ran for city council, before I ran federally. And boy, getting involved in politics, what a mistake that was. But anyways, he, I introduced him to some people, and boy, did that guy run with it. And he did whatever he could to network and meet people and grind it, and took a lot of crap and played the game, as frustrating as it is, because he was singularly focused on the Iranian regime and waking people up in the West to understanding the threat of the Iranian regime. And he became one of the crew of people, him and Ardashir, that whole group of people, that assembled that protest of 200,000 people in the streets of Toronto last week, I think it was, the beginning of last week, the week before. And to all of them, I wish you happy Freedom Day. And I know you worked very hard for it, and you suffered a lot. And many of you have lost family members and friends over the years. And I'm sorry that everybody has suffered. But we all admire your tenacity and the fact that you have been able to get her done and got all the way up to the president's office in the United States. And we wish you all the freedom that the Persian people deserve. So all the best to all of you. All right, so let's. We're going to come back to that issue in a second. Let's talk a little bit more about the phenomenon I've been trying to alert people about, which is cowboy hat communism. The far left MAGA copycats. We have seen them unmask themselves yet again, and this time it was. Should we say it? El mexicano marico, el maricón. I can't say that in English. It's a bad word, but we don't censor ourselves in Spanish like we do in English. That would be the Fuentes kid. And remember I said that we're going to see this evolution of cowboy hat communism, that the populist left is going to become the liberal pivot, that this is going to be their strategy. They will attempt to grab the populist supporters within MAGA and pull them away from the Republican Party and move them into the Democratic Party through active measures. And it seems to be Marico, he posted a video this morning, exactly that, attacking Trump and saying you need to vote for Democrats in the midterms because, I don't know, Trump something, Trump this, something Iran, something. And you can see that this is exactly what I and other people, not the only one, that have been warning that this is going to be the shift that they're going to make. They're not talking about, you notice, it's not trans stuff on the front page of the newspaper every day or the landing page of the website, whatever one you go to. It's not, when was the last time you heard about global warming destroying the world 8 years from now? I haven't heard about that for a while. Have you? That's right, because it doesn't resonate anymore. People are tired of it. So this is their attempt. It's so clear as day now. And I think I had retweeted that video that was put up. And watch the people around you who get sucked into that framing of the world and they buy into it. Because if people hear it 5 times and they hear it in a time where they're maybe passively listening, then they will be subjected to it. Fuentes is very persuasive. He knows to sell an emotional message, and that's why he can change his mind every other day, and people will still follow him, right? But I like this comment about it. It's from a Twitter account, James Klug. It's at real James Klug. He said on X, the best way to fight communism is by voting for them or something, referring to the Democrats. Yeah, the same people that they complained about censorship and they're being oppressed and all that. So now they're saying, oh, we should vote for them now. What planet do you live on? But there are people that will fall victim to that kind of persuasion. Tucker Carlson and the Dugan crew is what I like to refer them. Tucker Carlson, Mr. Freedom. right? Remember Mr. Freedom, Tucker Carlson? Well, in the Daily Mail from the UK is reporting that Tucker Carlson, quote, torches Trump's disgusting and evil attack on Iran as MAGA base fractures. Now, look, I know a lot of people in the MAGA base, especially the professional people in the MAGA base. I spend a lot of time with them when I'm in Florida. Yeah, there's no fracturing. That's a fantasy. None of these people are fractured at all. And it was very quick to see. I remember when I wrote that article that got to Zero Hedge about Tucker Carlson a year and a half ago, and I started warning people. And boy, they looked at me like I was crazy. But I had to lay out 2 or 3 things right in the moment that got them to think, okay, I'll have to double check. And well, you could see that coming a mile away. And it is what is. Joel Jess Carlson said he has the soul of Satan. I wouldn't be surprised. It's a good way to describe it. Make Canada get her done again. That's awesome. Well, I think Canada is going to follow the United States as we always do. I know Canadians get upset at that, but we got to be practical. They're 76% of our GDP. I see what they're doing to cross-border trade right now, and it's all but collapsing. So we're going to have no choice but to kind of toe their line, which is fine. I mean, most countries would wish they would beg to be in the same position Canada is, on the border with the United States, to participate in their economy. But we're a bunch of spoiled brats in our political class that just want to fight with the hand that essentially feeds us. And I know it's they need us. No. We need them more than they need us, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with being practical and being reasonable, right? But anyways, so Tucker Carlson goes on to say thousands and thousands of Americans from my generation have been killed and injured in never-ending, pointless foreign wars, and we said no more. But we are freeing the Iranian people, please. I don't remember seeing Tucker Carlson enlist. Did you? Did you see him enlist at any time? What's he talking about? As far as I know, he's been a spoiled rich kid since he was a little baby. Anyways, he goes on to say there are 93 million people in Iran. Let them liberate themselves. Well, do you think they might have done that if they could? You don't think they've tried many, 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 many times? Why do you think my friends are here as political refugees? Because they were tortured by the regime. Because Obama propped up the regime when they were trying to overthrow them, right? And he says, but Iran is on the verge of having nuclear weapons. Yeah, sure. So you see the persuasion tactic he's using? For those of you who watch Scott Adams or have training in this area, you'll understand this. It's the really frame. Yeah, he's just trying to dismiss it. Really? Yeah, Iran really has nuclear weapons? He's trained in this stuff. He knows how to message it. That's why he has an audience, although it's dwindling, but he's got a lot of non-thinking people in his audience because he knows the tactics to use to cause the suspension of critical thinking, which is what he's doing. So what are you going to do? So I just want to ask I'm wondering if he would like the video of his daddy I played a couple of days ago, and I just posted a couple of minutes ago. So if you can, take a look at that, send it to him. And I love this post by Stelios. For you not following Stelios is great. He is a commentator on the Lotus Eaters from academia. He kind of escaped academia because it was going so woke, radical left, and he's very much a centrist. His @ on X is, I'm going to try this, Panagiotus90ST. There you go, Stelios. You deserve it for having when they're always giving him a hard time. That is complicated. It's his last name, but it's PANAGIOTOU90ST. And he posted a picture of Tucker Carlson, and his comment was, World War IV has begun. A comment on Tucker Carlson's horrible record at making predictions. Okay, we're going to get on to the same crowd that the UN is voting now. Their Venezuelan position this week. Take the ride. Only a month late. All right, so we Next thing I wanted to get to, this is gonna annoy some people, but I'm bringing it up for a reason because we don't want things to kind of, the slippery slope fallacy. Things go down the slippery slope until somebody stops and says, "Okay, it's enough," and then we don't have the slippery slope. So this is in relation to the new Restore Britain in England, which now has 100,000 members, which was basically instantly within what, 2 weeks, 10 days, something like that, since they launched Restore Britain. And, you never like 100% of everything everybody says, but if you're getting to 80, 90%, or even 60, 70%, you got a winner. And I would say Restore Britain is in the 90%, at least for me, and I think many of us who think the same way. But there's something that I was so annoyed with this, and this might just be inexperience or the wrong people at the helm of Digicom within Restore right now, and they got to figure it out. On the day of liberation of Iran, Rupert Lowe, who I really do like him. This is why this is not a criticism of him. It's kind of like, hey man, we got to figure out this messaging thing. That's all. That's the reason I'm bringing this up. So on the liberation day for Iran, Rupert posted how I was looking for the exact wording. I couldn't find it. Maybe he deleted this post, but then there's two subsequent ones. He said he posted how England should not be engaged in regime change. Huh? Like, I get the sentiment. I get it. But you talk about a facepalm moment. Like, bro, it's their liberation day for having been enslaved for 47 years. You got to get out of your own head sometimes and think about the heads of other people, especially when they are suffering under the exact same ideology that is tearing apart England from within. Hey, how about a little bit solidarity? So I think what they've done, or whoever's running the account, they did a little bit of damage control. And number two was the follow up was a long post. They're long posts, and this is the problem when you dig your grave. And the beginning of one of the first long post was form regime change through military intervention is not a strategy that has served Britain at all. Here we go again. Many British men and women have needlessly died trying to achieve that. It's kind of like the all or nothing mentality that no. Let me explain something to the woke left and the woke right. Okay, no one likes war. No one likes war. The military doesn't like war. Israel doesn't like war. The Americans don't like war. No one likes war. My friends who have served don't like war. Unfortunately, we also don't like the other people that are trying to destroy our civilizations from within as they're causing chaos on the geopolitical stage. Just because we don't like things doesn't mean we can ignore our problems and they'll go away. Okay? So then there was that clearly this other, it was a very long post. It went on and tried to explain nuance. And I appreciate that, by the way. I appreciate he's trying to frame the nuance and he's getting somewhere. But this all could be just avoided, and I'll explain how in a second. The next post was to any MP. This is from Rupert Lowe, who again, I like. I'm just focusing on the messaging around this issue and why it's important. To any MP deluding themselves that we're some omnipotent global superpower, I have one suggestion. Go to your constituency and look around. See what's happening in the communities up and down Britain, in your community, to your voters, to the people who you're supposed to represent. Our country's infrastructure has been shattered by decades of unnecessary decay and rot, failure, festering everywhere for all to see. And then it went on and on to explain that Britain just doesn't have the resources to engage in this stuff. I get it. But Rupert, love you. Just stop. Honestly, just turn Twitter off for a couple of days. Walk away. Who's ever running Digicom for Restore, just pull them away, put a bot in. They'll do a better job. Because I posted this response. This is what the response, I believe, should be. Irrespective of the fact that you don't think England should engage in this confrontation with Iran, which, by the way, I don't think England should. England's got enough problems to deal with. The message should have been, how about something like this? Congratulations to America and the Iranian people. The people of Britain want to wish you well and a free future for Iran and the Iranian people. It's a lot better than putting your foot in your mouth, right? Just wish them well. You don't want to engage? Just say, hey, congratulations. We are all aligned around the ideas of freedom. That's it. Because I've been watching the comments and the response from a lot of people who are supporting Restore, and they get a little annoyed with this. And their comment is, hey, Rupert, this is what's destroying England from the inside. And they're doing it for us. So just shut up and take the yes. You know, so many people just can't take yes for an answer. It's shocking, right? Anyways, I do wish Restore Britain well. And I think it's also maybe growing pains, a new party. They're just figuring out their footing. I get it. I understand. But come on, man. Like, let's not take the bait. And there's some issues you don't even have to weigh in on, right? Congratulations to America and the free Iranian people. That would go a lot farther, in my opinion. But what do I know, right? England, take the ride. It's good to see you, brother. Says England already has had an issue with the previous messaging to enlist for the Ukrainian war. Yeah, no, agreed, 100%. He was primarily speaking to the not die to England. Okay. I think I know what you're saying, but yeah, I understand that, and we're very concerned about this. The fact that they merely are floating the idea of conscription to send people in England to the Ukraine is just crazy, batshit crazy. And Jess says, I agree, Rupert is all over right now with everything in the UK. Again, I think he's just finding his footing. I hope he will. And Maureen says maybe he has to watch his back right now. Yeah, could. Oh, hey, wait. I just realized I can do that. Now, how do I do that? Well, okay, now I don't know what I did. Maureen, I just clicked on you, and somehow you're I don't know how to get you off. How do you get you off the screen? Okay. Oh, cool. You can pin comments. And let's see. There you go, Jess. You're on the screen now. So, isn't this fun? I've been trying to figure out how to put your comments on the screen. And as you know, it's a work in process. And as far as I'm concerned, the best platforms in terms of people who are doing outreach and us getting together over coffee and hanging out and talking about these things are the ones that are done with duct tape and glue, in my opinion. All right. I want to talk about what the title of this, and we'll get on to something else after that. And this is important. And this is the idea of vindication. Okay. So the first thing today, Iran has struck an oil tanker in the Straits of Hormuz off the coast of Oman. And that's, by the way, for all the environmentalists who support Iran and don't know where or what Oman is. They just struck an oil tanker, which means there's oil leaking into the ocean. But for some reason, the environmentalists seem not to care all that much, and we know because much of it are assigned opinions and brainwashing. But Iran has been firing rockets in every direction possible. They're behaving like Wile E. Coyote chasing the Roadrunner. It's hysterical. It's so incompetent and pathetic, right? And half of them are dead, and they're still. He's Abibi. I fire a rocket to those traitors. It's so funny. So here's the list of countries that Iran has fired rockets at since both Israel and the United States has executed this action. Israel, Bahrain, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Jordan, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. I thought the Ummah is all one. I thought we're all Muslim. We're all Ummas together, yet you're firing rockets at all your brothers. What happened there? And I know people are going to do the Shia Sunni thing. No, that's not accurate. Read Cynthia Farhat's book, The Secret Apparatus about the Muslim Brotherhood, and you'll see that's total BS and was never true. Jess says that tanker was the property of the United States, so they're mad at and attack the U.S., as well as at least 3 U.S. troops have. That's not. I hope not. Let's focus on the positive stuff. Let's see what happens. And by the way, there is this picture I just posted today of Iranian troops in Tehran, and they arrested, I don't know, one of the GOAT, what you want to call them. What a surreal picture that is, to see American vehicles on the ground, right? Phil Mission move. I don't think so, Phil Mission. Stop it. It's just like when the Americans killed a bunch of Brits in by accident, friendly fire, during the Iraq War. Unfortunately, that happens, right? But I don't know that that's what happened. We'll see. We'll find out what happens. Let's not over speculate during the fog of war. Not too much. But according to the UAE, and this is from an official document released by the United Arab Emirates, the Ministry of Defense for the United Arab Emirates confirms they have successfully shot down the following from Iran. These were targeted, I guess, at Dubai and Abu Dhabi. I'm not sure. Dubai for sure. They have shot down 165 ballistic missiles, 2 cruise missiles, and 541 drones. Isn't that wild, right? I'm sure you've seen that. It's actually the thumbnail, one of the thumbnails for this video, the footage of that drone going into an apartment complex or a condominium complex, whatever, in Bahrain, and just lighting it up. Almost looks like 9/11 sort of thing. A big fireball coming out of the side of the building, right? And we've also seen the rockets. I'm sure some of you have seen it. Rockets were fired at the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, which is their massive tower. What's the largest tower in the world now, if I'm not mistaken? So they've tried to hit the Burj Khalifa. They're sending rockets into these, 9 countries, and you're seeing drones and fireballs all over the place. And they also hit the American base in Bahrain, and I'm sure many other places, because things are still a go. So I want to do an exercise with you, and I think this is important because for some of you, what I'm going to say may touch on some painted words, okay? And this might be, we all have emotional ties to certain words. Sometimes it is assigned to us, sometimes it's not. So before I get onto the next, I want to explain further on these issues of the rockets in the Burj Khalifa in Bahrain. I want to do this little exercise. So follow along with me and see if this helps you. This is for the people who may have some maybe a little bit of Israeli, what's it called? A little bit of an obsession with Israel and other countries around the world, right? A Israeli derangement syndrome, maybe you would call it. Because we're going to talk about that and as this all relates together. So this is not for the regular people. This is for the people who know they're going to get angry because they're already feeling a little bit of frustration right now, and they can't really place it. And they're looking for a place to put that anger. So what I want you to do is I want you to take that anger. I want you to imagine it. You're going to take it out of your head and put out the palm of your hand. And you're going to allow that anger go directly into the palm of your hand. Put all of it in there. Focus. Just look at your hand and focus all the frustration and anger that you have around all of these issues. And then what I want you to do is I want you to close your hands, okay? Your hand. And I want you to make a fist. And imagine it's almost like you're squishing up a piece of paper, because on that piece of paper is written all these things that are going to make you angry when I'm starting to talk about these issues. And when you can't squeeze any tighter, I want you to squeeze even more tighter. Just hold that. That's all the things. Those are all the emotions of anger and frustration. And you're going to squeeze harder and harder and harder. And then when you can't squeeze any harder, you're going to take all of these negative emotions that you have on this imaginary piece of paper in the palm of your hand. And I only want you to grab them and throw them to an imaginary waste bin that's on the ground. So they're completely removed from you. And you can look down at the waste bin, but it's so far you can't even reach it. It's completely removed from your emotional state right now, because now you've shifted in to this state of just being factually disassociated from the emotions and will be able to walk through these things. They're still there, but they're far removed from you and who you are, because you've purged yourself from the ability to react negatively when I say things that you disagree with, because we all love each other. We're just here having coffee together, and we're not here for friction. So the negativity is over there in the waste bin. All right? It's completely removed from you. You can feel that. You can feel it's no longer there. And this is the time where I ask this difficult question that nobody's going to be triggered emotionally anymore, because we don't have that emotional negative energy in us anymore. And the question is this: is it time for Israel to be vindicated, and for Netanyahu and the tens of thousands of people within the Israeli government and security forces to be vindicated? And you might ask, where's he going with this? And I'm going to explain. Hold on to it. I'm going to get there with it. This is why I asked this, okay? What they have been saying over and over and over again for decades, 20, 30 years, even longer. But we can stick to the past, let's say 30 years from our recent memory, 30, 40 years, right? Over and over again, ad nauseum, we've been hearing these things about nuclear weapons and Iran in the Middle East. And we've heard about when Israel took out Saddam Hussein's nuclear program in the early 1980s. Remember Saddam Hussein? And and Israel was condemned for doing so. And we also know about when Israel did the Western world, all of us, a massive favor by taking out Syria's nuclear program. We remember when Syria had a nuclear program, and Israel once again went in and took it out and was condemned for it by us. And we also know about Stuxnet, when the United States and Israel deployed Stuxnet to infect and terminate Israel's nuclear program. Now, I want you to take those ideas of attacking Saddam's nuclear program. Imagine the jets flying in there. And then they did the same thing with Syria and took out their nuclear program. And the Stuxnet, how they infected and destroyed Iran's nuclear program. And I want you to take that and put it on a piece of paper, visualize it, and pin it on the wall. Okay, just put it there. Put a pin in that physically. Like, just imagine it right there. And I want you to hold on to that for a second. And now I want you to go back and visualize in your mind the picture and the video that you've all seen. That is the thumbnail for this video of the drones being hit and a fireball that emerged out of an apartment building. The rockets that landed at the American airbase in Bahrain, or the rocket that's striking the Burj Khalifa. Imagine those, like, put them in your mind. And now I want you to ask yourself to try to visualize this, that you could imagine what would it have looked like had Iran had nuclear weapons. What if that rocket that landed next to the Burj Khalifa was a nuclear weapon? Dubai wouldn't exist today. Just sit back and imagine that. For those who've watched Fallout recently, which is a great series, by the way, on Amazon Prime, imagine what that would look like, the Burj Khalifa collapsing. and replay that in your mind. How would Dubai look? Forget Israel. Let's talk about Dubai and other countries in the Middle East. You can feel that, can't you? The severity of it. An actual nuclear holocaust. That's how severe yesterday could have been. We got very close to that. And we avoided it because of those events that I had mentioned previously. That repeatedly, both the United States and Israel together had been taking out nuclear programs from maniacs in the Middle East. And it saved Dubai. It saved Bahrain. It saved Saudi Arabia. And these are countries that are right now in transition that are trying to modernize. They're trying to integrate themselves into the global economy, not, we think, not to take us over, but they want economic prosperity in the future. Okay, but think about that. Is it time that that country in the Middle East and the United States as well, that is constantly vilified by the very Islamists that are here trying to brainwash people, that they be vindicated for everything they have done? It's because of them that Dubai still exists today. It was never about Israel alone. It was about the region. That is why Saudi Arabia, that is why Bahrain and Oman and all of these countries want Abraham Accords, because Trump and Jared brought everybody together on the same page and says you cannot live in the 6th century for the rest of eternity. We got to build a better, prosperous future for all of us. I think it's time for them to be allowed to be vindicated for what they have done, and constantly being condemned for it by people who are brainwashing us in the West. I don't know. What do you think? Do you agree with that? I hope the idea of, I hope at least for those of you who might have been subjected to cognitive dissonance, if I went this way in the conversation, I hope we've been able to disassociate you from the negative emotions, just to think and look, what would the image have looked like yesterday if the Burj Khalifa had a nuclear weapon hit it? Because that's how close we got. And that is why, to the United States and many of those countries in the region, that is why they see Israel as important, because they are on the front line of the kinetic war with Islamic terrorism around the globe. That is the front line. They're the only ones engaged with them kinetically. Well, I guess the United States is as well, right? Take the ride. Yeah, the propaganda school. So we all know about human shields. And that school was built on IRGC land, right next to an IRGC army base. Why were kids sent to school during a time of war next to an IRGC army base? Right? Because this is the propaganda war for them. They do not value life like you and I. And I'm referring to Islamists, the fanatics, the extremists, right? Not going to individual people of faith. I like to treat people as individuals. But the people who are trapped in this ideological soup that everything is extreme, why would they send their kids to school during a war when the school is next to an army base, which is a target in a war? That is strategic, and that is intentional. Welcome to the Middle East. That's how it works. It's a very good movie on this topic called Rules of Engagement with Samuel L. Jackson. Of all the Hollywood films I've ever seen, usually they're garbage, it has the best take on the philosophy behind the insurgencies within the Middle East and how they operate, right? So and it's very important to understand that. And that's, if you understand the philosophical framing of your adversaries, then it's a lot easier to understand them, right? So, yeah, Maureen says it's fodder for virtual signaling media. They understand the psychological pressure points of people in the West better than we do. They are experts at it. And I'm going to talk more about that because I've discovered some very concerning things going on in Canada and the US on that realm. But the topic of persuasion, we're going to talk about that a little bit more another time. So think about it. I'm not saying any of the people who are on the fence should be making a decision now either way. I just want you to just sit back and consider, what would yesterday have looked like had Iran had a nuclear weapon, which is exactly why people like Netanyahu and many people in the Israeli government and the Republican Party in the US, over and over and over again, they cannot have a nuclear weapon. They are maniacs. Even now, you notice, at what point do you give up and say, okay, you know what, we lost? They will never quit because they're fanatics. The only way they quit, unfortunately, is when they're dead. That's the framing of, and every Iranian in the world who's tried to escape that knows that is their mindset. And that is a completely foreign concept to people in the West, right? Okay, take the ride. We can't get into a debate here right now. That's a long thing because I don't know what you're sourcing when. But according the United States government and the Israeli government have both confirmed the Syrian strike and the Iraqi strike against Saddam Hussein. When you source Grok or AI for anything, there's a reason it hallucinates. The reason it hallucinates is because of the scrubbing data. Do you know what the scrubbing data is? What the scrubbing data is, the data for which is input. So you have garbage in, garbage out. So when the scrubbing data incorporates CNN, Reddit, Vox Media, whatever, of course, you're not going to get factual stuff. And actually, that's why Notebook LM is a little bit better, because with Notebook LM, you can define the scrubbing data. So it's a little bit less likely to give you garbage because you're defining the terms, right? But anyways, we'll talk more about that, but I appreciate you being here. Thank you, man. All right, so just consider that. Consider all the crap that Israel has taken from the communists and leftists in the West who, is in Columbia University in the 1960s, somebody I know who was there, she was, they're constantly harassed by Muslim Brotherhood activists for the MSA because the MSA had already just been established. And they said point blankly, we are going to turn the word Zionism into a swear word. And by the way, what is Zionism? Because I hear this all over the place. People don't know. It's simple. It's simple. All that means is that Jews around the world, and I'm going to bring it to you as well because you have the same thing, that Jews around the world have a safe haven, just like Christians around the world have a safe haven. And you think, well, where do Christians have a safe haven? How about all the Christian countries? How about the entire West? Whereas we saw during World War II, when things get really bad, when Europe was at each other's throats, all of a sudden they needed a safe haven, this tiny little sliver of land that nobody wanted at the time because it was swampland. That's all it means. That's all it means. And what you want in the West, what my friends in England, some are confused, some are not, you want that equivalent for England, meaning it's under attack by these foreigners that are coming in and destroying your culture from the inside, which is the reason Rupert Lowe is very popular so quickly. So we're not all that different. We're all really on the same page, and we have very similar worldviews and very similar problems that we need to solve. The problem is we're not talking to each other. Why? Because of the same phenomenon during COVID that I had brought up and mentioned and tried to overcome during the trucker convoy, which was when the media and politicians get in the way, they have us at each other's throats, when really we should be in alignment with each other to save Western culture and Western values. And that's what you've been seeing going on for the past, since with Maduro and now with Iran and I think Cuba. Talk about that in a second. All right, the last topic I wanted to just talk about, we touched on yesterday, was China and the effects on China on this, and is it relevant? Well, yesterday I suggested that China, statistically, could lose 70% of its oil supply because Iran and Venezuela equated into 70% of their oil supply, their sanctioned oil that they were getting. Oops! Notice you don't hear much posturing about China invading Taiwan anymore since Maduro. You notice that? That's all kind of stopped. Isn't that interesting? Now, China obviously did the ubiquitous condemnation of Iran and all, because that's their supplier. Of course, they're going to condemn it. They have no choice. But I think that might have been optics. Let me propose this. Do you think Xi Jinping might have had a phone call with President Trump? And maybe Trump would have said, don't worry, we're not going to cut you off completely, but we're going to have some tough conversations once this is all done. But we're not cutting you off. We'll figure out a deal. We'll do a deal together. Don't worry, Xi Jinping. Think maybe Trump made that call? And my guess is those conversations that may or may not occur after this event may be around Cuba, right? We won't cut you off from Iran's oil supply, but you're not going to get in the way of Cuba becoming a holding of the United States. Once again, Trump is creating assets out of nothing and negotiating with them, as Scott Adams used to say all the time, right? And what does that mean? It means America is fully in the driver's seat, right? It's funny. There was this post online from an account on X, Gord Stevens. His is @GordoCDA. And it's a picture of George Bush Jr. And it says, when you realize the real estate developer and TV star does war better than you do. Now, look, I get the meme, but I think people are missing something, because he's not the only one to acknowledge that, right? This is what a brilliant real estate developer, corporate CEO, somebody who knows how to manage large bureaucracies, this is what they can do when you merge that with long-term thinking, right? The opposite of Western politicians. This is why we have chaos. We have people only think, election cycle to election cycle. Trump doesn't care. He's out of office after this term, although I'm willing to bet there might be requests, but we'll see what happens. Trump has gotten America leverage like no other president has in history, at least not in modern history, right? And, I mentioned this on a stream a long time ago, maybe in a Twitter space as well, that I talked about Trump's business acumen and his dealings in Atlantic City. And read a little bit about this and watched a couple of 2 or 3 different documentaries on it. And, whether you agree with his, let's say, his strategy that he used in Atlantic City, whether you think it was ethical or not, that's not the point. The strategy was objectively brilliant. That he painted himself into a corner with such a mass amount of debt that if anyone collected on him, they would all collapse themselves. That's exactly what he's brought to the geopolitical stage. He always has 2 ways to win and no way to lose. It is brilliant. It is geopolitical chess like we've never seen before. He will be seen by history, in my opinion, as a grandmaster. So those are my thoughts on that. So a little bit of positivity when still we shut down, because I got to get going. I got to get down to Baltimore. I was thinking about what's going on in Iran today, and we hope everything gets settled in short order, and that whatever happens on the ground is very short, and that the people rise up and they protect the freedoms that are slowly being handed to them. I think that's what's going to happen, because we've been longing for it for 40 some odd years. But here's the positive spin on that. Not spin, but the positive framing on that. Are we going to see a baby boom? A baby boom in Iran? Israel, the country the Duganists have been mass brainwashed by Dugan and obsess over all the time, is one of the only industrialized country, maybe even the only industrialized country, that has achieved a birth rate for replacement. So they've hit their target for birth rate replacement. They're the only ones, I think, one of the only ones at least. So right now, we're going to have Israel and Iran that are going to have positive birth rates. They're going to have a baby boom. What about Venezuela? Maybe Venezuela is also going to have a baby boom. Maybe people who are in the service that are dealing with Venezuela and Iran and whatever else comes down the pipeline, maybe they are going to be part of a baby boom when they come back home. How about Cuba? Because I think Cuba is next on the list. Is Cuba going to be revitalized and become Puerto Rico 2.0? Wouldn't that result in a baby boom? So are we going to be solving our population crisis slowly due to all of this? So I think there's all these positive effects that are going to come out of it that people aren't considering it. And I think we have to show gratitude for all the good things that are and acknowledge them, and that is the skill. It's really easy to focus on things that are negative all the time. That's natural to all of us. The skill is focusing on all the positive momentum and the positive outcomes that will come from it. And I think a baby boom is probably likely and possible in many places around the world. This isn't going to solve all our problems for forever, but maybe for a couple of generations. Hey, this is great. There's so much to be thankful for. And so go ask the people on Bluesky if they think Trump liberating Iran is going to lead to a baby boom, right? All right. Jess says, I think many Iranians will go home. I know many would. Many are going to go back and try to make something. And it's going to be tempting for a lot of people with the entrepreneurial spirit not to try to move to places like, Cuba or Venezuela and all that sort of stuff if they are liberated. You want opportunity in life, that will be it. Jess says, my vaccine injured friend was just offered. Okay, well, let's keep things positive, right? I know everybody's worried. We'll talk about MAID next time. I think some of us are not acknowledging some of the. I think there's a lot more to it as well. That's very important. We have European. This is according to Tamara. We are of European descent. Are the ones who must create a baby boom. We represent 7% of the global population, down from 35% a century ago. Or I guess we're going to compete with other people. I think if we secure our countries and stop the invasion and people who have integrated, fine. But I think if everybody else, if we get some sense of stability and we deal with the economic trends, then I think that's it's all going to happen naturally. But these things, I think, as we've seen, World War II was the catalyst to the baby boom. And I think these little conflicts will do that as well, right? Oh God, Maureen. Okay, we'll talk, Maureen. Let me know what's going on. I don't want to do that publicly because I don't want to be disrespectful to you or anybody. But yeah, let me know. Okay, so hopefully we're on the cusp of Iran being free, a baby boom, Venezuela being free, and Cuba hopefully being free, and maybe even Canada will be free in the future. Okay. I got to get on the, I got to get done. I got to post some things and I got to get on the road and get down south. I love you all. And I'll see you on Thursday. Thursday? Yeah, we'll see you on Thursday. No, not Thursday. Friday. I did that mistake this week. All right. I love you all. I got to run.